Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In this tutorial, I want to show you how I'm going to modify the ID status drop-down list. Now, when you install Act, they've created certain lists that come sort of standard with the software. And the ID status list is one of those. As you know, I've always felt the ID status field is the most important field in Act. And because of that, it's very important to just simplify what you can put in the ID status. And I have a very limited number of things that I like to use in the ID status. One of the things about all the drop-down lists that I ever suggest, if possible, make the drop-down list one touch. And all I mean by that is try to come up with ideas for what you want to have in here that have a unique first letter. So for example, in this situation, I have the word Tony. And when I typically set this up, the only thing I'll have in here with the letter T is my name, and that allows me to just touch the letter T and Tony will fill in. So for ease of data entry, that sort of makes it one touch. So let me show you how to change the field. And before I do that, let me show you all the options I have here in the drop-down. Many options, way too many. Also in this example, you can check off multiple things. And I never recommend this because I think that's just way over the top, too complicated. So the way I'm going to do that is this. I'm going to come up to Tools and I'm going to go down to Define Fields. Now, if for any reason you can't see the Define Fields or it's grayed out, it might mean that you have what's called a remote database and you've got to go online to the web version to create the field, or you might not have the proper permissions to go in and modify some of this information. So if you're part of a bigger company or an organization with many users, they might have tried to get you or turn this off so you can't modify this, because if you have too many people modifying it could get chaotic. So I'm going to click on Define Fields. When I come in here, I want to go to the ID status field right here, and I'm going to go Edit Field. Now, when I come into the ID status field, I want you to observe that there's a drop-down list associated with the contact ID status. It's called just that. So the ID status field by default is going to use this drop-down list. So the reality is to edit this, we've got to go back to where we were, and we've got to come up to where it says Manage Drop-Down List, and I'm going to click on that. When I get in here, here are all my different drop-down lists. The one I want is the contact ID status. I clicked on that, and I'm going to click Edit Drop-Down List. Now, this one is called the contact ID status, and we can do that. I typically simplify it, so I just call it ID status, and I'll do that right now. I'm going to simplify this. Next, I'm going to go and click on Next. And actually, let me back up for a second. See right here where it says Allow users to edit items on this list. If you're in a big organization, I recommend that you turn this off so that you don't have the ability to do that. You want to have to really think this through. Right now, there's 30 items on here. I don't want that. So I'm going to click on Next. I'm going to come in and basically just delete all of these out, just like this. I'm going to delete it. Click Yes. So again, at this point, I'm going to add the things I want. And one of the things I want just initially here is the word client. I'm going to click Add. I'm going to type in employee. Now these things I might not have mentioned in other videos, but these are the things that I want to have in here. The purpose of this is, again, you'll notice everything I put in here has a different first letter. I'm going to click on Add. I'm going to type in vendor. Okay. I'm going to type in new lead. I think I've got everything here. And one more. Actually, a couple more. No, I did employee already. And the last one is the word delete. And let me explain why I put new lead and delete in here. In my previous videos, I had not added those two, but through the years, I've decided these make sense. Anytime anyone in my database becomes a new lead, whether they're a client or whether they're a prospect, it doesn't matter. The minute they become a new lead or something I'm working on, maybe an existing client wants some new business or something done, I automatically change their status to new lead. And we'll talk about that more in the training why I use that. The other one I use is the word delete. And I use that specifically because when you're working in Act, what you want to make sure of is that you do not allow people to delete context because it's too easy to make a mistake. And if you delete context, you could delete more than you want to. So I tell people use the word delete to get it into the drop down and make sure that in that drop down that's available so they can, instead of deleting a contact, go in, put that in the ID status, and periodically someone should go in, find all the people that you want to delete, look them up, delete them in mass, but before you delete them, make a backup of your database. Just in case you make a mistake, you have a backup. Now, there's one thing I didn't do here. I did not turn off the option to be able to choose multiple items. So I'm going to go back to Tools. I'm going to go back to Define Fields. In this case, I'm going to go to ID status. And again, the last thing I did was I changed the drop-down list. But now I want to edit this field because I don't want them to be able to use multiple things. So I'm going to click Next. And right here, I'm going to choose Limit to List so people can't put in anything random. And I'm going to uncheck Allow Multi-Select. The type ahead just makes it so I can hit one letter and it will fill in. So the ID status, I want to limit to the list and enable the type ahead. I'll click Next. There's some things here that I'm not going to bother you with right now. And I'm just going to click Finish. I'm going to click Close. And now the ID status, when this refreshes itself, you'll see the ID status only gives me these options. And that allows you to have tight control if you're in a bigger organization or if you're an individual. It just eliminates the wrong thing getting put in here. You can even take it a step further. You can make the ID status required. So if I enter a new contact, Act won't let me move on until I've put in an ID status, and I do recommend that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Holowitz. Thank you so very much. Have a great day.